Hey guys, it's Jake here, and I'm back with another video on how to clean your cartridge style pool filter. Alright, these filters are awesome. They're the about second or third line of defense in cleaning your pool. They're going to pick up all the small microorganisms, sediment, sand, maybe some chemicals from the sunscreens. But eventually, these cartridge filters will start to clog up, and that's why on the top of all these filters, there's a pressure gauge. So anytime that your pressure has increased from about 8 to 10 psi above the normal level, that indicates a time to either clean these filters or replace them. Now, the starting pressure will depend on each person's system. It depends on how long the pipes are to your pool, depends on how fast your pool pumps are running, and those numbers are going to vary for each person. So you need to know what your baseline number is with the clean filter and write that on the control box. And anytime it gets 8 to 10 psi above that number, it's time to pull apart this filter. I didn't know what my baseline number was. This is a new pool to us, and it was taken care of by a pool cleaner. So I figured it's probably been 8 months since someone has worked on it. So I just thought it would be time to take the filter apart, start with a clean filter, write down my baseline number, and then go from there. Okay, before you start this project, you're gonna need probably 2 to 3 hours just to be safe, at least for the first time you do this. You're gonna need a socket tool, simple green, or some type of chemical to clean the filter if yours are really gummed up. And that's about it. So step one, you're gonna have to shut off the power to your pool pumps. And you wanna be really careful about this. So make sure your timer box is turned off, and then even take it as far as turning the circuit breakers off for your control box and for the pump. You just don't want your pumps to kick on by accident with this filter open. It could cause a lot of water loss and possibly damage to the pump. Okay, now that you have the power off to the system, we want to relieve the pressure inside the filter. So if you turn the mechanism at the top of the filter where the pressure gauge is, that'll open up, allow air out or in, and equalize the pressure inside the filter. And then all the water inside the filter will drain back into your pump and back into your pool. Let that go for a little bit until the pressure is 0 psi. And then there'll be a drain at the bottom of your filter. You want to open the drain, allow any of the last bit of water and sediment to drain out. And then we're ready to open the filter. This pentair system has a big metal ring around the center and a T-bar. And we'll just loosen the T-bar using a 1/7 inch socket. And you'll have some hardware with that and some springs, so make sure you put all that in a cup or somewhere you won't lose it. And then you want to pull the top of this fiberglass filter straight up. There's going to be a big black rubber O-ring below it, and you don't want to pinch any of that. Pull the O-ring off, inspect it, make sure there's no cracking. If you lose any of this hardware or the O-ring needs replacement, I put a link in the description below on Amazon. It'll at least get you started in the right direction. Most of this stuff is all available online. And this will expose the cartridges inside. There's going to be a metal screen on top and a spring and this plastic mechanism to hold the cartridges. Set all that aside somewhere that you won't step on it or damage it. And then we'll pull out each individual filter. They're going to be pretty heavy as they're soaked with water and sediment. And take a look at them. Depends on what type of dirt is on your cartridge, but if you use a lot of sunscreen and oils, you may want to soak the filters overnight in a dishwashing solution, or there's some commercial solutions. Mine look mostly like dirt, and we don't use a lot of sunscreen, so I decided to just use a degreaser called Simple Green, and I sprayed each filter and let it soak for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I hose down the filters. So it will depend on each person's choice on this one. Also, these cartridge filters, I was told by the pool shop, should last maybe 5 or 7 years, so you don't need to replace them unless it's been quite a while. Another indication of when to replace them is if the pleating is starting to fall apart, so it looks like they're worn, or if you clean them and the pressure does not drop down, or they clog back up again quickly, then that would be an indication to actually replace them instead of just cleaning them. Now, put your cartridge somewhere that you're ready to get a large amount of sediment on the ground and also a ton of water. I started this on the bark nearby, and then after about 5-10 minutes I realized that was a bad idea and moved it up somewhere better. But choose your place wisely. It's going to be a lot of water. I think it took me 45 minutes of just hosing down these filters to get them pretty clean. A lot more water than I was expecting. You want to use a 45-degree angle on the hose, a large amount of water pressure, and go from the top to the bottom and just work the dirt out of each pleat inside the filter. And then once you're done with that, you can hose down the inside of the bottom of the bucket of the filter, and that'll create any of the sediment to wash out through the drain. According to the Pentair manual, you can expect an average cartridge life of about 3 years under normal conditions. And the pool shop near me told me 5 years, so you can pick when you want to replace these. Okay, now make sure you put your drain plug back in, and then you can start dropping in your filters and the hardware. And then check that everything is setting properly. And then you'll put your rubber O-ring back around the bottom of the filter. And then you'll slide the top of the filter right on the top again. And check on how the O-ring sits here. Everything should be pretty flush. And then you'll put your metal clamp around the outside of the filter. This takes a little fussing with to get it back into place. It took me a few tries, but don't worry, it works itself out here. And then you'll tighten up the clamp again, and the manual says you want to tighten the clamp until it all the way closes and the metal touches on each side. The manual says to use a 7/8 inch wrench and hand tighten it first, and then to tap around the outside of the clamp ring with a rubber mallet multiple times in order to get the clamp to kind of fit properly, and then continue tightening until the spring coils touch. If they don't touch, or if a little bit later it loosens up, you want to retighten it until those touch again. Okay, now we're going to make sure that the drain plug is in and the clamp is in a good spot, and we'll re-energize the system and turn on our filter pump. That'll shoot some air off the top of this pressure gauge as it's open, and then as soon as you see water start to come out, like now, shut it closed, and that'll repressurize the pump and get everything circulating again. And then you want to check the PSI at the top of the gauge. It should now be lower than where you started. And when you think you have a good baseline number, go ahead and write that down for next time. And then anytime it gets 8 to 10 PSI above your baseline number, you'll know it's time to clean or investigate replacing the cartridge filters. Okay, that's all for now. Please like, subscribe, and let us know if we can do anything better. And we'll see you next time.